as a career. And also we started with the concept of corporate entrepreneurship. We saw different definitions of corporate entrepreneurship. This corporate entrepreneurship basically means supporting employees to think innovatively, think and behave like entrepreneurs within the boundaries of existing organizational culture, and thus the employees with the right vision and skills will be encouraged to identify the different opportunities in and around and develop these ideas which can lead to innovative new products, services, and even new lines of business. So we saw the different objectives, components of corporate entrepreneurship. We saw the different forms the organization corporate entrepreneurship can take. The corporate entrepreneurship can be in the form of an established organization that enters into a new business, or it can be an individual or individuals who champion new products within the corporate context, or there is a situation where entrepreneurial philosophy permeates, that is penetrates into the entire organization, its outlook and all its operations. Now today we will have to discuss related to the different emerging models of corporate entrepreneurship. So what different models or different frameworks this corporate entrepreneurship can take. This we can see through this diagram. Is this diagram visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
So in this diagram you will be able to see there are these four different models. That is, first is enabler, the producer, the opportunist, and the advocate. These are the four different models we'll have to discuss, and these models will be discussed on two dimensions. These two dimensions, first dimension is resource authority. Are you able to see this vertical resource authority? And on the horizontal axis or horizontal plane you can see this dimension organizational ownership. So along these two dimensions we'll have to discuss these four models, four emerging models of corporate entrepreneurship. First of all, we'll discuss about these dimensions. We'll go step by step. We'll discuss what are these dimensions, and then we'll go towards the different models. So basically, these models of corporate entrepreneurship are the four ways of building the businesses from within their organizations. From within an organization, how new businesses are developed. These four models will show you the different four ways, four different structures of how the businesses can generate or businesses can be built from the existing business. So these two dimensions, as we have seen, these two dimensions are, first is organizational ownership and second is resource authority. So these two dimensions we'll have to first understand so that we can understand these models better. This first dimension, that is organizational ownership. This organizational ownership, which is at the horizontal dimension, that we'll discuss first. So this organizational ownership, what that means is, ownership means who owns the responsibility of having this corporate entrepreneurship or the different new innovations, different new ideas, who have the responsibility and accountability of implementing this corporate entrepreneurship within an organization. So Organizational entrepreneurship means who, if anyone within the organization, has primary ownership for the creation of new business. Who is responsible or who owns this idea of uh, implementing the corporate entrepreneurship or to generate new business by having innovative ideas. Responsibility and accountability of new business creation might be focused in a designated group or groups, or it might be diffused across the organization. So there can be two ways. The responsibility or accountability of creation of new business or the organizational ownership can be focused, can be centralized to a particular designated group or particular group or groups, or it can be diffused or it can be dispersed, it can be scattered over the entire organization. So this organizational ownership, that means the accountability or responsibility of developing the innovative ideas and generating the new businesses out of those ideas. This organizational ownership can be either focused or it can be diffused. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
It can be focused or it can be diffused. Focused, that means it is centralized or it is given to particular designated group or groups, or it can be diffused, that means it is dispersed or it is distributed over the entire organization. So that is organizational ownership, that is the first dimension. The second dimension which we have to discuss is the resource authority. So this vertical dimension which you are able to see, this resource authority. What this resource authority means? Is there any, hello, do you have any query? So resource authority, what that means is there a dedicated pot of money or funds which are dedicated or kept separately, which can be allocated to corporate entrepreneurship, or are new business concepts funded in an ad hoc manner through divisional or corporate budgets or slush funds. So resource authority means, are the resources allocated to this particular activity, corporate entrepreneurship? Is there any special or reserved fund, a pot of money which is separately kept for allocation to corporate entrepreneurship? Or are these concepts funded in a ad hoc manner? Ad hoc manner means as and when required, in a as and when required manner through divisional or corporate budgets. So through the different corporate or divisional budgets, are these ideas or concepts are funded or provided funds in an ad hoc manner or as and when required way, or are there any slush funds? Do you know this concept of slush funds? Are you aware of this slush funds?
No, sir.
So these slush funds, which we can see, these slush funds can be the reserve of some funds or some money which is kept in reserve, which can be used wherever it is required for any legal activities or any procedural parts. And this slush funds, the main reason is that it is not accounted anywhere in the accounting of the business. So it is a separate reserve which is not accounted in the books. So it can be used wherever necessary for different purposes. So those are called as slush funds or reserve funds. Those can be also used for this purpose of corporate entrepreneurship. So resource authority says that are there any separate funds which are allocated to this corporate entrepreneurship activity, or these are funded as and when required from divisional corporate budgets, or are there any provision of slush funds for these? So this resource authority, also you can see in this diagram, it can be of two types. It can be dedicated, means dedicated funds are allocated for this activity of corporate entrepreneurship. So dedicated funds are there, or this resource authority may be ad hoc. That means resources or the funds may be provided in an ad hoc manner or as and when required. So the resource authority, you can see there can be dedicated resource authority or dedicated resource funds for this corporate entrepreneurship, or there can be ad hoc, that is as and when required. So based on these two dimensions, we can see these are the different four models, four emerging corporate entrepreneurship models which are prevailing in the market. So these models we will have to discuss one by one. The first model of corporate entrepreneurship which we can see is the enabler. The enabler, if you see on these two dimensions, enabler has dedicated resource authority, funds reserved or funds separately allocated for this corporate entrepreneurship activity in case of enabler. And on the horizontal axis, if you see the organizational ownership in case of enabler is diffused. That means there is no separate or particular designated group to whom this responsibility or accountability of corporate entrepreneurship given. But instead of that, in this model, this responsibility of corporate entrepreneurship is dispersed. It is distributed to the entire organization. Anyone in the organization can get an innovative idea, and he can transform that idea into a separate business. So this enabler, you can see the company provides funding and senior executive attention to prospective projects. So company has dedicated resources, dedicated funds which are allocated for the special purpose of corporate entrepreneurship. So this enabler provides funding and senior executive attentions to prospective projects. However, this organizational ownership or the responsibility or the accountability of corporate entrepreneurship is distributed to the entire organization. So anyone can take initiative with innovative idea, and he can try to transform that idea into a separate business. So that is the model of enabler. You can take the example of Google, which is a very well-known company. Then second model which we can see is the opportunist. The opportunist model of corporate entrepreneurship, you can see on this two dimensions. It has resource authority ad hoc. That means the resources or the funds are provided on as and when required basis from the different divisional or corporate budgets. And the organizational ownership in this case of opportunist is diffused, that is, it is distributed to the entire organization. So the opportunist, you will see the company has no deliberate approach to corporate entrepreneurship. So no deliberate purpose, no purposive approach to corporate entrepreneurship. However, the internal and external networks drive concept selection and resource allocation. The different internal and external networks of different people and employees, these drive concept selection and resource allocation on their own. So the funds may be provided through different budgets on as and when required basis, and as well as the organizational ownership of implementing this corporate entrepreneurship is also diffused. So there is no separate team, or there is no separate group who is looking after the corporate entrepreneurship. So that is the second model, which is having this characteristics of ad hoc resource authority, that is as and when required the funds will be provided, and organizational ownership is also distributed or scattered over the entire organization. The example can be a Zimmer. Zimmer is one of the US based company which is into medical equipments. So there you can see the approach of opportunist, wherein the company do not have any purposeful approach towards corporate entrepreneurship. However, the concept selection or the development of those innovative ideas into new business can be derived by different internal as well as external networks. Then we'll move to the third model, that is the producer. The producer, if you see the characteristic of this model, the resource authority is dedicated. The funds or the resources are allocated purposively. There is deliberate approach. Here you will observe for allocation of resources and funds in this model, and the organizational ownership is also focused. That means there will be dedicated teams who will be looking after or taking the responsibility or accountability of corporate entrepreneurship, in this case of producer. So in producer you will see the company establishes and supports a full service group with a mandate or official order for corporate entrepreneurship. So corporate entrepreneurship will be an official order. It will be implemented purposefully, deliberately, and there will be separate group or groups who will take the responsibility and accountability of this type of corporate entrepreneurship, wherein there will be separate funds allocated or dedicated for corporate entrepreneurship, and organizational ownership is also focused. That means there are different groups who will be taking the responsibility and accountability of implementing the corporate entrepreneurship, motivating the people to have innovative ideas and generate new businesses out of the existing business. Then there is a fourth model, that is called as the advocate. So advocate is the model wherein you will see the characteristics that the resource authority is ad hoc. That is means the resources or the funds will be provided on ad hoc basis as and when required, and the organizational ownership is focused. The organizational ownership will be focused. That means there will be teams, a group of people who will be taking the responsibility or accountability of having this corporate entrepreneurship. However, there will not be separate funds or dedicated resources for this corporate entrepreneurship activity. The advocate, this type of model of the corporate entrepreneurship, herein you will see that the company strongly individualizes for corporate entrepreneurship. Means company will strongly recommend or strongly or purposefully they will be focusing for corporate entrepreneurship. However, business units will provide the primary funding. The business units will provide the primary funding for this activity as and when required. So company will have purposeful attention to the corporate entrepreneurship in this model. However, the dedicated resources or dedicated funds will not be allocated for this type of activity. However, the funds will be provided from the different budgets, and as these budgets or the different business units will provide the primary funding for corporate entrepreneurship in this company. Example you can take is DuPont. DuPont is also one of the US based company which is into different sectors ranging from electronics, the construction materials, medical equipments, automobiles. So that is the advocate model. So I will just have a summary of these four models. Enabler is the model wherein the resource authority is dedicated and the resource ownership will be diffused. Example, we took Google. The opportunity is the second corporate entrepreneurship model, wherein you will see that the company do not have any deliberate approach. The resource authority will not be there. Resource authority or the funds will not be dedicated. However, it will be funded as and when required. But the corporate entrepreneurship ownership will be diffused or distributed. Third model, that is the producer model, wherein the resource authority is also dedicated and the organizational ownership is also focused. The example is Cargill. Cargill is one of the company wherein the company is into different agriculture products like cotton, the oil, this type of product, agricultural based products is into this company Cargill. So these four models, this fourth model is the advocate, which has a focus on corporate entrepreneurship through having dedicated teams. However, the funds will not be dedicated. The resource authority will be ad hoc, that is, the funds will be provided as and when required from the business units. Are these models understood to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we'll move ahead to discuss the India's startup revolution. So when this revolution started in India and how it is today, what are the different trends, what are the benefits and what are the different imperatives, that we'll have to discuss under this topic, India's startup revolution. So this revolution of startup or entrepreneurship that has started in India with Startup India initiative by government on 16th January 2016. So this Startup India initiative was launched by Government of India on 16th January 2016 with different programs for entrepreneurs to support the entrepreneurship, for the purpose of building a robust startup ecosystem. Robust means strong, and the startup ecosystem is the network of different interconnected or interdependent systems. And another purpose was to transform India with transformation into the situation by encouraging the job creators instead of job seekers. So changing the situation from job seekers to job creators, that was also one of the purpose of Startup India initiative. And with all these different programs, schemes, the different incentives and different discounts, this Startup India initiative was launched on 16th January 2016. This this is one of the definition of startup. So government definition of startup. So here it is given what startup means. So according to the government definition, which is specially developed for having schemes for different government schemes, this definition applies. What is a startup? A startup means an entity which is registered in India not over 5 years and annual turnover not exceeding rupees 25 crores in any financial year, It is an entity which works towards innovation, development, deployment or commercialization of new products and services driven by technology or intellectual property. So, government has defined the startup as the entity or an organization or firm which is registered and having is not 5 years, not more than 5 years old, and having annual turnover less than 25 crores in of any of the financial years, which works towards innovation, which into innovation, development and deployment of commercialization of new products and services based on the technology or intellectual property. That is the definition given by government for a startup. So going ahead, we'll discuss the different key pillars of support for startups under the Startup India initiative. So under this Startup India initiatives, how these startups are provided the support. There are three important key pillars. The first important key pillar is simplification and handholding. Simplification and handholding. So this many of the procedures compliances, they are made simple, and these startups are handholded. They are provided support, guidance at all the stages so that they can grow, they can further survive, and they can contribute towards the national economy. So through this simplification and handholding, the compliance has made easier. Also, compliance made easier means all those compliances which a startup has to comply for before establishing his startup, all those compliances or legal formalities are made easier. Then easier exit process for failed startups. So those startups who fail, so for them also the exit process is made easier. Legal support is provided to all the startups. The tracking for patent applications is made faster, and website is introduced to reduce the information asymmetry. So the all this information will be provided through a dedicated website wherein the startups can access the relevant information at one point or at one website. So that is the first key pillar of for support of startups, that is simplification and handholding. The second key pillar is funding and incentives. All these startups are provided with funding and different incentives as a motivation to start their enterprises. All these fundings and incentives will include the exemptions or the different concessions which are given on income tax, capital gain tax for all those eligible startups, a fund of funds to infuse or fill in more capital to the startup ecosystem, and a credit guarantee scheme. So credit guarantee scheme is one of the schemes wherein the government provides the support. The government takes the risk of the losses of the startups. So the credit guarantee scheme is also provided under the funding and incentives. And the third important pillar is incubation and industry academia partnerships. So through incubation and industry academia partnerships, also these startups are provided with the support. Do you know what is the meaning of incubation? Anyone?
Yes.
Incubation is a facility which is provided wherein the startups are given all the support, the guidance, and they are provided with infrastructure, they are provided with the consultancy so that they can grow, survive, establish. So this incubation as well as industry academia partnership, the partnership of industry and academia, that is education. So through all this, the support is provided. Herein you will see that the government through this support, they create numerous incubators. Incubators are business incubators are these facilities or the different infrastructure, the guidance, the handholding, all this which is provided to the startups, which are called as incubators. And innovation labs. Innovation lab is also similar term wherein the infrastructure is provided and wherein the dedicated activity of generating new ideas, nurturing the new ideas and implementing trial and error of all those innovative ideas is done through these innovation labs. So government through all this incubation, industry academia partnership create numerous incubators and innovation labs, different events, different competitions, and different grants provided to different events. So through all these, the entrepreneurs or the startups are provided support for their establishment and their growth. Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
So these are some of the facts about India's startup revolution. Bloomberg is one of the agencies, one of the company which provides the latest information about industry, the different trends in the market, all the news about the industry and market. So this Bloomberg discusses or it reveals that entrepreneurs today are utilizing the unprecedented, that means never before advances from technology operating on the demands of our demography and inadvertently, that is unintentionally steering the citizens welfare. So entrepreneurs, they are utilizing all these advances of technology and they are operating on demand of our demography, and at the same time they are fulfilling or they are unintentionally, unknowingly, they are also ensuring the citizens welfare. India today has 38,756 officially recognized startups with 27 unicorns. Are you aware of this term unicorn? What is a unicorn? Have you heard this term, Pallavi?
No, sir.
These are these unicorns are the private startups having the valuation more than $1 billion. Those startups, private startups, are called as unicorns. So India has 27 such unicorns, 8 of which achieved this status in 2020. And India now is the third largest tech startup hub globally. Going ahead, this Praxis Global Alliance, who is a leading knowledge service provider, they also presented few facts about India's startup revolution. They say that startups are growing today at an average rate of 12 to 15% annually. Annually, there is a growth rate of startups that is 12 to 15%. The startups have raised $63 billion between 2016 to 2020 in terms of funding. $20 billion of which was raised in 2019 over the 1,854 deals. In terms of investments in startups, investments are growing incrementally each year. incremental means increasing step by step each year from $12 billion, $25.2 billion, $26.3 billion, and $34 billion, which are invested in the last 4 years, with 16.7 billion till May 2020. So all these are the facts about Indian startup revolution till date. Have you understood this? Do you have any query related to what we have discussed today?
No. No.
So we have discussed the corporate entrepreneurship and emerging models. 4 models we have discussed today related to the corporate entrepreneurship: the enabler, the producer, opportunist, and advocate. And we have discussed the Startup India initiative by government and what is the status, the different key pillars of support for entrepreneurs under this Startup India initiative that we have discussed, and few facts we have discussed related to the India's startup revolution. What we'll do is we'll stop here for today. But before we close, do you have any query related to what we have discussed?
No, sir.
No,
Okay,
sir.
then what we'll do is we'll stop here and we'll meet in the next class. Okay?
Sir, I have a question.
Huh?
Sir, when we can apply for the mock test?
Now you can appear. The timing was 10 to 3. So still there is a time till 3 o'clock.
Okay, sir.